Alright, hello everybody! Welcome back to our series on programming in Java. Today we're going to talk about arrays. So an array is a way to store a list of data in Java. You could think about it as a collection of sorts. So let's say we had a collection of things in our shopping cart or something, right? So we have an apple and some chips and maybe some I don't know, cheese or something. And so it's a collection of things that we have and we want to store as one variable. So this is our shopping cart right here. And in order to make an array in Java, there's multiple ways to instance an array. Let's say we want to have an array of, the shopping cart array, right? So it's a string array. So we can say string shopping cart. This is how we would normally define a string. In this case, we want to be of type array, so we're going to do a string array with the square brackets like this, and then we can say whatever it is equal to, which is our apple, chips. Change this out with bananas or something, right? We have our string shopping cart, apple, chips, and bananas, and you put a semicolon at the end. There's another way to do this, which it's very similar, where so we have another string array. Say this is our array of names or something, right? Normally string names equals something, but in this case we could put the array bracket after the name of the array, just like this, and then we can define it as Adam and Josh or something. And so each programmer has their preference on which one they want to use. The important thing is just to choose one and stick with it. The first one kind of helps you understand that it's a string array, it's an array type. And the second one, we'll see why some programmers prefer to do the thing that's on line 7 right here. Because it's consistent with whenever we start referencing the inside of arrays. Now, arrays also don't have to be just string arrays. In general, they can also be integer arrays, right? Integer, we have ages, like this. And then we can just give it a list of ages right here, like 2, 16, and so we have an old person, 35. Not saying 35 is old, but older than in comparison to the 2-year-old and 16-year-old. And this is all fine and dandy. Now, as you can see in all of our examples here, we're defining what the array is already. But what we could do is, if we want to have like an empty array of sorts, like let's say have an integer of passengers in our integer array, a string array of passengers in our car or something. And so our car can store 5 people at once, right? But we don't know who those 5 people are yet. What we can do is we can say it's a new string array, and this string array has 5 people in it. So we put a 5 inside of the square bracket, and it tells the computer, hey, this will have 5 people in it. So you can already see why some programmers would prefer to have the square bracket near the name of the string. Right here, it's consistent with this making a new empty array. And we will soon see why people prefer the second option. And that's because you can modify things in the array and reference parts of the array. So let's say we have our shopping cart right here, right? And let's say we decide, hey, we don't want to get chips. We want to be healthy. And instead of getting chips, we will grab some milk instead. I know, a very odd swap, but let's just say we're doing something like that. So we want to reference this chips item, which, if you remember from our previous videos, things in Java are 0 index, which means the first term is term number 0, and the second term is term number 1. So what we can do is we can say shopping cart, bracket, 1, that reference the chips string right here, and we can just override that and say it's equal to milk now. just like this. And if we print out that right there, shopping cart 1, just like that, and we push print, you can see it'll print milk instead of chips right here. And so this right here, where the square bracket and what you're referencing is next to the name, is why some people prefer to have the square bracket, the name instead. But like I said, it's up to you as a programmer which one you want to do. Just choose one and stick with it. Don't mix and combine them like I am doing right here, because then it makes your code quite messy. So now that we've found that we can change one part of the array, we can also loop through the array, which is what you'll commonly be doing. You'll iterate through the whole array. So say we get to the checkout line and we want to print out all the stuff that's in our shopping cart. We can do a for loop, and we can just say it's like a standard for loop, right? We say for integer I, our iterator or our counter, starts at 0, and this time our upper bound, our condition, is I is less than some sort of number, right? And we want the number to be the length of the shopping cart. So if there's more items, it does the for loop more, and if there's less items, it does the for loop less times. All we have to do is say shopping cart dot and length right there. So what that'll do is it'll keep running until it gets to however big the shopping cart is, and every time it'll increment by 1. So the first time the for loop runs, if I is 0, and I keeps increasing until it gets to just under the shopping cart. What that means is that we can then print out the shopping cart at position I. So if we go ahead and comment out line 13 right there. The first time the for loop runs, it's going to print out shopping cart I, which is apple, right? The first time we're determining position number 0, and then when I gets to 1, it'll print out chips, and then when I gets to 2, it'll print out bananas, and then it'll increment and it'll say, oh, it's greater than the length, or it's equal to the length, which is 3, and so it'll just stop. When we push run, it prints out apple, milk, and bananas. Woo! Just like that. Now, if you're coding along and you get an error, something about an array index being out of bounds, it's probably because you put an equal sign right here. And what this means is that it's going to go through it one more time, and it's going to try to find shopping cart, the value of shopping cart at position 3. Right, so remember we have 0, 1, 2, but nothing exists at position 3. When we push run, we see it prints out apple, milk, and bananas. And then when it gets to position 3, it says there's an exception, which is like an error in Java. At thread main Java lang array index out of bounds exception, which basically means, hey, it's out of bounds, and we don't know what this is, and it doesn't know what this is, so it throws an error and it just ends your program and it crashes. Basically, you do have to be careful that you're only referencing things that are within your array, because when you try to reference something that's not in your array, then the program just breaks and stops. Now that we have this, I also want to talk about a more abstract programming implementation of arrays, which is multi-dimensional arrays. So a multi-dimensional array is an array of arrays. And how to implement this is quite simple. We can start off just like this, so integer x, let's say x is a multi-dimensional array. And instead of just having one set of square brackets, we can have 2 sets of square brackets, just like that. And then we have our array with our contents, but inside of the array, we're gonna have another array of sorts. So we can have 1, 2, 3, right? And then this is our first array right here. But remember, our larger array would have multiple arrays inside of it. Then we have to have another array. So we have 4, 5, and 6, just like that. So we have one big array that contains 2 smaller arrays right here, each with 3 numbers in them. So now we can go down here and we can print out x, and we have 2 square brackets right here. The first square bracket is for the array that you want. So you have 2 options, your 0th option and your first option right here. This here we want array number 0, And then your second thing is for the position within that array you selected, so 1, 2, or 3. Let's say we want the last term, which is position number 2. And so we push run, and we should see 3. Now this is this could be useful if you want to have like an array of arrays. Like you have a bunch of shopping cart arrays, and you want to have an array that stores all of the shopping carts in there. You could use a double, a two-dimensional array. Although we will be talking about easier ways to do that, so you don't have to worry about two-dimensional arrays in future. But go ahead and try this out. So as you're working through arrays and you're practicing with them, you might realize that you can't really change the length of the arrays, which is a bit of a problem in a lot of instances. And so you would use an array list instead. And we'll talk about array lists in a future video. If I remember, I'll link it up in the iCards section. But if you do already know the length of your array, or at least the maximum length of your array, arrays, the standard arrays are definitely the way to go because they're a lot faster than array lists are. But we'll talk more about that in a later episode. And so if you have any questions or any ideas what we should talk about on this channel, please do leave a comment down below. And until next time, take care. I'll see you later.